Coming up on WUFT News First at 5, a 40-year-old cold case involving an unidentified victim is no longer a mystery. We bring you the new details out of Putnam County.
Plus, spring break is here for much of Florida. What officials are saying to keep you safe.
And severe storms are expected tomorrow, Saturday. We will have the latest on the timing and threats. First at 5 starts now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
A Putnam County cold case now has a key piece of the puzzle. Welcome to WUFT News First at 5. I'm Bianca Smith.
And I'm Loren Miranda. WUFT's Teitel was in Putnam County today and spoke with the newly identified victim's family about this new piece of evidence.
After more than 40 years, a Putnam County victim of homicide has been identified. In December 1980, the body of William Irving Monroe III was found with bullet holes in his neck near Paloma Park. Up until late last year, the Putnam County Sheriff's Office has known Monroe as John Doe 36.
Today, I'm extremely pleased to introduce to everyone John Doe number 36, or rather, William Irving Monroe III.
Before William Monroe was murdered 4 decades ago in Putnam County, he was a 32-year-old Vietnam War veteran, underwater welder, and father of 2. His body was discovered by a patrol officer partially buried in a hole at Pomona Park, 17 miles south of Palatka. Unable to put a name to the face, officers deemed Monroe John Doe number 36. Until last February, when Captain Chris Stallings found hair fibers and traces of skin preserved by the Sheriff's Office.
Looking at a list of names of unsolved cases that we've had of going back decades, this was the only name that was on that list that was listed as unknown.
Stallings and Putnam County deputies partnered with forensic genealogists. Within less than a year of examining the DNA samples, Putnam County Sheriff's Office had a match.
This case very well may be just stay as a cold case forever. However, we have a victim name. And with that victim, we have family.
William's son, Michael, was just 8 years old at the time. He believed his father suddenly abandoned him.
It was a bittersweet. I had already suspected that he had died, but it was relieving to know that we know where he is now.
William's brother, Richard, has fond memories of his brother growing up in Miami. Richard has thought about what happened ever since the day William, quote, stopped showing up.
Just always wondered. I mean, I never knew where he went, so I always heard that he went to the Virgin Islands and never come back. So that was the last thing I knew about him.
With the uncertainty of William's fate put partially to rest, Richard and Michael are making plans to formally memorialize their loved one. Going forward, the Putnam County Sheriff's Office will continue a criminal investigation to identify a suspect. Reporting outside Putnam County Sheriff's Office, Teitel, WUFT News.
A Marion County Sheriff's deputy who hit and killed a cyclist will not be facing charges. WUFT's Kennedy Chambers is live in the studio to tell us what actions will be taken.
That's right, Bianca. After a Florida Highway Patrol investigation, Deputy Brandon Jaglow was given a traffic citation for failure to use due care, but not criminal charges. Back in October of 2023, the deputy was involved in a deadly crash that took the life of a 63-year-old cyclist. Investigators say the deputy was off duty but was driving 96 miles per hour when he hit the cyclist. The speed limit on the roadway was 50 miles per hour. The cyclist was headed east on State Road 200 around 3 a.m., and state troopers say the area was dark with no street lights. Marion County Sheriff's Office officials confirmed that the deputy has been assigned to desk duty. An internal affairs investigation is in process. Live in the studio, Kennedy Chambers, WUFT News.
A Gainesville man has been found guilty of threatening to shoot up an Alachua County middle school. Daniel Dominguez posted the threat on Instagram. It was arrested back in October. After he was convicted, the judge allowed Dominguez to be released from jail on a $5,000 bond. The judge later revoked that decision, and Dominguez is set to return back to jail. His sentencing is set for late April.
We have multiple prescribed burns set to take place across our area. If you live in Citrus or Gilchrist County, you may see some smoke. In Citrus, there is an 850-acre fire scheduled for the Citrus tract of the Withlacoochee State Forest in Inverness. In Gilchrist, the Florida Forest Service will be conducting a burn at the rodeo arena between Trenton and Bell. And those burns are possible because some of that beautiful weather we've been having. UF forecaster Gancarz-Davies joins us now. Ben, it sounds like that weather might not stay for very long.
Yes, Loren, that beautiful weather will be making its way out of our region this weekend. But looking back at the cloud coverage right now, you can see there's a lot of clouds which might be hiding some of that smoke from those prescribed burns. Current temperatures are in those upper 70s and lower 80s pretty much across our region. A little bit cooler next to the coast as those sea breezes can make it just a little bit cooler. Looking at our hour-by-hour forecast for the rest of this evening, you can see temperatures taking a dip after sunset with slight chances of showers going away by 9 p.m. Temperatures will be going to those upper 60s at their lows for this evening. And this Sunday is going to be daylight saving time. We're going to be setting those alarms just 1 hour forward, losing just a little bit of sleep. Coming up, we've got some severe thunderstorms, Gator Nationals, and I'll be previewing spring break.
As Ben mentioned, be prepared to lose an hour of sleep on Sunday. At 2 a.m., the clocks will spring forward 1 hour, so 2 a.m. becomes 3 a.m., and you're encouraged to make the change of time Saturday night before bed. Most smartphones will adjust automatically, and while you're at it, local governments are encouraging that you replace the batteries in your smoke alarms. This time change will run until November 3rd. And with spring break ramping up around the state, Alachua County schools and the University of Florida will soon be getting in on the action. Here's how to keep your belongings safe when traveling. The Gainesville Police Department advises you to lock your doors, cars, and windows before leaving for break. This is because crimes of opportunity generally increase during this time. These types of crime require no planning and capitalize on easy targets.
If you walk by a row of student housing, and you see 4 windows unlocked, it's an opportunity. So if we deny them opportunities, the average rate will decrease.
Other precautions include having a neighbor park their car in your driveway and leaving a light on. Hatzel says you should ultimately do what's best for you and your home.
Early voting started today for multiple counties across north central Florida. I had the chance to go out and see some of the voting sites to learn why early voting is so important.
Voting is a constitutional right that most Floridians hold dear. Early voting for the presidential primary elections will take place over the next 9 days. Registered Republicans will vote for who will challenge Democratic nominee President Joe Biden. There are about 40,000 registered Republicans in Alachua County. All Republican candidates except former President Donald Trump have dropped out. The Director of Communications and Outreach for the Alachua County Supervisor of Elections Office, Aaron Klein, says that people tend to think their only time to vote is on Election Day.
No. Election Day is your last opportunity to vote. Again, the great thing about early voting is you can early vote on a weekend, you can early vote on a day that isn't Tuesday, and that's more convenient for you.
One of the biggest advantages of early voting is convenience.
The lines are going to be shorter when you go early vote because the entire county isn't all choosing to vote on that one day. It's all spread out across a week.
While some people do support early voting, there are others who don't. According to ballotpedia.org, they say that early voting can lead to misinformed voting, create fraud risk, and voters can't change their votes.
University of Florida student Amy Huang says that she didn't realize early voting was happening on campus. She was glad when she found out.
I'd say early voting is important to the point where, like, if you genuinely don't think you'll have time anywhere else, and like now is like the time slot that you can just go.
Early voting ends March 16th at 6 p.m.
Coming up on WUFT News, a local church is starting the transition to renewable energy.
And a man who says he has a singular purpose.
It's my hobby, it's my life, it's my profession, it's my, it's everything that I do.
What this former law enforcement officer has made his sole mission. When First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
A legal group hosts workshops to assist the 17 North Central Florida counties it serves, including Alachua. A meeting at the Greater Bethel AME Church covered the basics of the probate process in Florida, tackling the issue of split ownership or heirs property. Attorneys were in attendance to answer legal questions about how to split a property that is technically owned by more than one person. Three Rivers Legal Services intends to protect underserved parts of the community, especially those with a historical lack of real estate ownership or a deed to their name. Community member Monique Edwards says she owns a homestead property but is more interested in gaining information to help her family down the line. Part 2 to the educational workshop will be this Thursday at 6 p.m. at the historic Thomas Center. It will delve into the longer, more intricate formal probate process.
A Gainesville man is making it his mission to teach gun owners how to be safe and responsible. Bill Cork is the range master and lead firearm instructor at Shoot GTR. Cork spent over 2 decades in law enforcement and now teaches gun owners of all skill levels. He says Florida's permitless carry law has had an impact on firearm safety classes.
And their overt stated purpose was to get you what you needed to get your permit. Not necessarily teach you to be a responsible gun owner. Those classes have been significantly hindered, some to the point of no longer being in business because of the permitless carry law.
For the full story from the WUFT's photojournalism team, just head on over to our website at WUFT.org.
Members of a Gainesville church are taking steps to better the community through renewable energy. Southwest United Methodist Church members built a solar panel charging station for the community. The charging station features wireless charging pads as well as spots to plug in your own charging cords. It costs less than $1,000 to build, and leaders hope the charging station will help bring nearby residents to the church.
And we want to be a service to our neighbors. So we want the people who live in the apartments around us to come and use our campus and also to use the charging station.
Church leaders say their long-term goal is to power the church with solar panels on the roof.
We've got a severe weather system entering our region tomorrow. I'll be timing out its impact on Florida after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Looking back at this full cloud coverage for the sky, this is the predecessor for the rain that is to come tomorrow. Current temperatures are in those upper 70s, lower 80s, pretty much around the board, little cooler on the coast due to those coastal breezes. Looking at our hour by hour for this evening, you can see temperatures actually climbing a little bit tomorrow morning up into those lower 80s as that rain comes in with those storms in the early afternoon, but really intensifying as the day goes on. Temperatures dropping just slightly post-sunset. Looking at the severe risk for tomorrow, Saturday, we're going to look at scattered thunderstorms, scattered risk of severe thunderstorms in those northern areas of our region and up into Georgia. Here in Gainesville, we're looking at isolated marginal risk of those severe storms. So we're looking at elevated wind speeds and chances of lightning that is going to be coming into our region. This is what is going on right now for our satellite radar. You can see lots of storm systems over by Louisiana and Alabama. Those are going to be making their way towards our region, as you can see that cloud coverage that is currently blanketing our skies. Continuing to look at our future tracking throughout the day on Saturday, those early morning hours, most of the storms are much north of our region in Georgia, but the tail end of the storm is going to be coming towards our region, starting with some scattered showers in those early afternoon hours, but intensifying as the evening goes on. Those red and even pink bits are where it's going to be the most severe in those later evening hours. Luckily, by the AM on Sunday, those storms are going to be headed out of our region. Now, if you are planning on going to the Gator National this weekend here in Gainesville, here is your Sunday planner. In the morning, the temperatures are going to be in those lower 60s, a little bit lower than we've been having due to that rain that is coming through on Saturday. As the day heats up, it's going to go up to those lower 70s, but post-sunset for the end of the race, it is going to be in those upper 60s once more. Looking at our 7-day planner, you can see tomorrow's temperatures are going to be the most warm of the week in those mid-80s, following that temperature decrease for Sunday down to those lower 70s due to that rain coming through. Temperatures will be increasing throughout the week back to those mid-80s again by Friday. Most of our chances of rain are tomorrow, but as you can see in those later days of the week, we might be having some showers coming through as well. Our lowest points of the week are going to be Monday and Tuesday in those mid-40s, but those are going to continue to climb throughout the week as well.
Weather has already affected the weekend slate of sports, as tomorrow's Gator baseball game has been moved to 1 p.m. But today, we race. Coming up, we are live at the 55th Annual Gator Nationals with a preview of the event. All that and more when we return.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Happy Friday, I'm Ben McLeish with your sports news. We start today on the racetrack. The annual NHRA Gator Nationals is back in town this weekend. This an annual competition where drivers compete in 4 categories, contributing towards their overall points on the season. In the funny car division, Matt Hagan will be looking for his third consecutive title after posting a 3.926 time in last year's race. Only 5 other racers in history have won 3 straight years in Gainesville. A new twist in this year's Top Fuel event will be the call-out format, where 2 qualifying round drivers will get to choose who they want to race and will be competing for a prize of $130,000. This weekend's event also marks the 3rd time that Gator Nationals kicks off the NHRA season. Don't go anywhere yet. The Gators women's basketball team is still fighting for a spot in March Madness. The Gators have a date with 3-seed Ole Miss tonight in the SEC Tournament quarterfinals. Thanks to a remarkable 35.8 rebound performance from Aaliyah Matharu, the 11-seed Gators upset 6-seed Vanderbilt last night. Just look at this incredible heads-up play off a Vanderbilt player's back for the layup in the final minutes. The Gators likely haven't done enough for a spot in the big dance yet, but every win in the SEC tournament brings them one step closer. Tip-off is set for 8:30. In men's basketball, the Gators have all but wrapped up a spot in March Madness following an impressive win over Alabama on Tuesday. The Gators finish off the regular season tomorrow against 8-22 Vanderbilt, looking to eclipse 22 wins for the first time since 2017. After a disappointing 2023 season, Gators football is back on the gridiron. The Gators took to the field for their first spring practice yesterday. Gators fans got their first look at 5-star freshman recruit DJ Lagway yesterday, and their future looks bright for the Texas native. After practice, last year's starting quarterback Graham Mertz talked about the team's performance last season.
I was unsatisfied with last year. I base my satisfaction off of, did we win every game? And I think that's the only way to go about playing this game and being in the quarterback position.
Lagway and Mertz will duel each other in the orange and blue game on April 13th in the Gators' first game action of the season. On the diamond, Gator baseball returns to Condren Family Ballpark for a 3-game series with 8-4 St. Mary's. Cade Fisher is on the mound tonight as the Gators look to bounce back from a 9-6 loss to UCF on Wednesday. Despite the loss, two-way star Jack Caglione continues to prove that he is one of the best players in baseball. He's batting .480 with 5 home runs and more walks than strikeouts in the young season. He is set to pitch on Sunday, but the Gators will rely on him offensively tonight. First pitch for tonight's game is at 6:30. Jack Caglione won't be the only star taking the mound this weekend as Keegan Rothrock and Gators softball begin SEC play with a 3-game series against 10th-ranked Alabama. Rothrock is coming off her second SEC Freshman of the Week award this season. She has had a near-perfect start to the season, posting a .67 ERA and 74 strikeouts in 10 starts. The Gators will also rely on fellow freshman pitchers Ava Brown and Olivia Miller to take care of business against the 19-1 Crimson Tide. Last but certainly not least, Gators track and field began the NCAA Indoor Championships today. The Gators sent 14 athletes and are looking to take home their first championship since 2019.
And finally, it's International Women's Day today, so happy Women's Day to us.
Woohoo! Happy Women's Day to you too, Loren, and to all the hard-working women in our local enforcement agencies who protect us every day. Marion County Fire Rescue has shared some of the amazing accomplishments of the women at the forefront of their services.
That's right. From running into burning buildings to providing life-saving medical procedures, female first responders are brave and serve as our local superheroes. It's important to celebrate women's achievements every day, but today we want to give an extra fiery, extra special thank you to the women who put their lives out on the line for us. So thank you to those lovely ladies. And before we go, who is a woman that inspires you guys?
I think Aaliyah Matharu inspired me with her great performance last night.
I agree. I think Rachel Maddow is pretty inspiring to me.
I have always been inspired by Michelle Obama. She's done so many awesome things.
I'm always inspired by the way that Taylor Swift can perform through any kind of weather. And speaking about weather, what can we expect for this weekend?
Well, we are going to be having some rain coming in this weekend for Taylor to dance in. So those temperatures are going to drop as we move into the weekend and rise throughout the week.
That's awesome. Thanks for that. And BBC World News is next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But remember, your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org, and we'll see you next week after our break is over. But for today, have a good night.